Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Roll20 Presents Tomb of Annihilation. So far, blessedly short on Annihilation. Also, no tombs, but hey.
I feel like it's coming.
It's a new
We
episode.
annihilated that food in the tavern, though, let me tell you.
That's true. The RP has been annihilated.
Me and my friends went to the tavern. We annihilated some beers, bruh.
God.
Totally. Everything's going to get annihilated.
So I have a question, Adam. Why am I taking damage?
Oh, I don't know. Just because I needed to pick a target.
Oh, okay. So it's just me. All right.
It's just you. Yeah, you're the kobold. Come on.
That's
wait,
fair.
Wait,
So-
am I missing something?
Oh, I was dealing Elf some damage in chat before we got started. So hello everybody. Hi. If you missed the first episode of Tomb of Annihilation, that's okay. We're just getting started. Welcome. Have a seat. Don't get Chult throat leeches. And we'll get started. So we'll skip all the intro stuff. Suffice it to say that before me are a fantastic party of excellent adventurers.
Oh, stop.
We are going to dive right in to the adventure and excitement of Tomb of Annihilation. On the last episode, we basically got the quest. You arrived in Chult. You arrived in Port Nyanzaru, and you were given your quest. And perhaps more importantly, certainly more important to our Tempest cleric, Arcturus.
Mm-hmm.
We were introduced to your new
A
girlfriend.
total babe.
Oh look, a character to flirt with. Oh look, what a surprise.
Hey,
Isn't that all NPCs? Don't we just flirt
Oh
with
yeah,
all of
I
them?
mean that's everyone.
That's
Definitely.
true. Yeah, high flirting content in this campaign and every campaign with these nerds. So so just to get everybody started, because these are the common questions that one asks when one tunes into a Dungeons and Dragons stream. I am the dungeon master. I will be playing all of the characters that are not these characters. Distracted Elf to my this way is playing Ishi Snaggletooth, a kobold fighter. Below our kobold fighter is Little Fox. What class are you?
You just said it. She's a fighter.
No, you.
No, you.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I'm a bird cuddler
Okay.
and cat floofer.
Bird cuddler, multi-class cat floofer.
And then when you
Furbolg.
get me angry, I am a murder robot.
Perfect. Good.
I thought you said kobold and not furbolg.
Furbolg.
And so I got confused.
Yeah. So you're a furbolg. For people for whom that's not a sufficient answer, she's a barbarian. Up in the other corner over there, Fish Fabio, Arcturus. You are a Tempest cleric. What was the name of your god again? Which god do you worship?
Ishtitia. Istishia? I think it's Istishia.
Mm-hmm.
I got it. It's
What's this Tishia? You want to know what God? What's this Tishia? Come on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then below, Fish Johnson over there, playing Malik Al Garib. It's Dave, and Dave, your character is a human sorcerer.
Yep.
And you you went with the dragon blood, right?
Yeah. And I've been helped out by some folks who are native speakers. Apparently it's Malik.
Malik. There you go. All right, Malik Al Garib.
Yeah. No long E. So yeah, Malik.
All right. So, you've hired a guide to lead you into the jungle, and your guide has a stipulation upon her service, and that stipulation is that at some point, in exchange for her guidance, you take her to Firefinger down here. Oops, I just moved Firefinger. It hasn't moved. It's still where it was. To Firefinger and recover a mask that she lost to some terrafolk. In the meantime, she will guide you through the jungles of Chult as best she can in your search for the Soulmonger, supposedly the cause of this terrible curse that is sending people back to the afterworlds from whence they escaped. So I guess we probably begin in Port Nyanzaru, not to play magical map jumping game here, but let's go back to Nanzaru. So we begin in Port Nanzaru. You wake after probably a relatively sleepless night of raucous music and shouting and what have you in the room below at the thundering lizard, the rowdy bar.
Are the amber skinned fish eating stick people still here? Because it's been a day now, so I could talk with them.
I assume you would have spent like your evening like resting from your journey, recovering from your teleportation nausea, and just like hanging out and relaxing. So yeah, you could have spent some time talking to them.
I'm learning a new language.
Yeah. They're teaching you Karaturan. Or their variation thereof. They're from a part of Karatur. They don't all speak the same language. Yeah.
Oh, you mean cultures aren't monolithic?
Yeah. It turns out that the Far East analog isn't just one country.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
So here's my question.
Yes.
Okay, so it costs X to stay at this inn.
Yeah.
And so for every day we stay in town, we're spending X. We're going to stay in town for as long as possible to avoid danger, which would be the rational thing to do. And then when we're truly desperate, we're just going to
Let us wait until we're flat broke and our only option is to wander into the jungle. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, we're going to try. Then we're going to get a job.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we're going to spend a few years working this job until we get really burnt out. And then we decide that, you know what? Actually, we got to become adventurers.
Can we say all that already happened?
I feel like we could preface that like all of that has happened already, personally.
I have a job.
Yeah.
I was a hermit for a long time, but the hours just really got to me.
This is my favorite role-playing game: Dungeons and Dragons and income tax forms.
Yeah.
Nah.
So yeah, I mean, you stayed in the inn. Your Azaka, your guide, she's ready to go whenever you are. But it wouldn't do you do harm to go and provision right in the market ward.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because you have probably some of you have rations as part of your kit that you first got.
Yeah, I have my explorer's pack.
But yeah, food is a necessity in the jungle. We talked about water being a non-problem thanks to fish tissue.
Okay, I have a question. Do I get any money as a cleric, or is it only my background that gives me money?
It would only be your background if you took the gear.
I'm so poor.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you should have a pack of some kind with all.
I do. I have a
stuff in
pack with basic stuff, but like I can't buy any presents for guides that are pretty.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You know what
you got your
gift
pack?
we can give her is the gift,
The gift
of revenge.
Yes, I love it.
I think that's what she would be into. So my money is on us, like just going and doing her quest first, and then she's our best friend.
That's my thought too.
And hangs out with us forever.
I mean, alternately, and I don't want to be the negative Ned of the party here, but alternately, you do her quest and then she fucks off.
Yeah, that's also a thing that could happen.
Well, then that would lead to a great dramatic character arc where our fish priest.
So let's talk about this because we're all experienced players of computer role playing games. Are you the type of player to fill your quest log, go out into the jungle, and do all your quests, or do you do one quest at a time, picking
One at
up
a time.
I usually fill my quest log,
I want to fill the
One
quest.
at a time.
and then I go out and I like get multiple things done at once.
Okay, well, so the only other thing that I would suggest is and we'll play musical maps again. If you want to, there is a river route from Port Nyanzaru, more or less directly south to Firefinger.
Goes to Firefinger, right? Yeah.
Down the river, 70, like 110, 120 miles. Now, you can walk alongside the river, or you could go and buy or rent a canoe.
I mean, you guys can buy or rent a canoe. I'll swim.
I have $0, so I'm not able to participate in the shopping spree montage. So I'll leave that to y'all.
I have the princely sum of 10 gold. That's
You had 10 gold?
we got 10 gold. Yeah.
How did you have 10? I bought a Triton. That's the Trident. I bought a
That's right.
Trident.
Step back. Step back. Stay away from me. I have 10 gold.
How do
Rich
you not
gold.
have any money? Like
Who'd you steal that from? Who
I guess
fell on
probably-
your sword to give
Probably
you
Wakanga.
My background of anthropologist only comes with 10 gold.
All right.
Mhm.
Since you're all poor as hell, I will do the negotiating for this canoe. How much are we looking?
I don't know.
I'm not gonna participate in any on top of the water transportation.
Oh, right, because you get seasick.
Yes.
Right. I guess we'll walk then. But I do need to buy some rations as well.
I mean, I'm fine with swimming. I'm good at that.
Well,
Get a little green around the gills.
the first place that we should go is the market, right?
We can totally go to the market.
Yeah.
Market. That's what I'm thinking.
Let's just do some rolls, pick up a bunch of side quests, have Adam track them in some sort of UI somewhere.
Some sort of massive spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some
let's just
nightmare
roll
world.
Listen,
picking up
if
side
you guys want a platinum trophy perfect achievement this adventure, you better get working.
quests. No, I want to get all of those hexes.
I wanted to go talk to the priests of Joaquin
Oh, the
Phoenix.
Joaquin.
Yes, yeah, there was a temple. There's a great temple, a golden dome sacred to Joaquin. Would you like to make a religion check? Like maybe we begin the actual the actual sort of episode on the morning, and everybody is gathering their equipment. And Arcturus, you're standing in the window of your room, looking out as the sun rises on the horizon and casts its light onto the golden dome of Joaquin. You can, if you want to, make a religion check to know what kind of god Joaquin is, or you could go there and just start asking questions and talking to people, or both.
I mean, I could do both because I'm gonna let you know I'm pretty bad at a lot of things, and religion, funnily enough, is
Fantastic.
yeah, 10. I got a 10 on my religion.
Okay, I
roll.
mean that's enough to know the I mean, you won't have any local context or really much other going on.
Well,
but-
I've never been here, so
Yeah.
okay.
So, I mean, Joaquin is one of the like larger, like more important gods in the Forgotten Realms in Faerun, and Joaquin is responsible. Joaquin is an important god. It's a goddess, actually. She's important because she's the god of trade, and of coin. Of capital, essentially. So, yeah, it makes sense, too, that she has a temple here. She's very popular in the Kingdom of Am, which is the country that originally colonized this part of Chult. So, Joaquin having a big old golden temple makes sense.
Yeah, cool. So I do the whole looking out my window, golden temple light,
beautiful.
think on what I know about, which is not a lot about the goddess, and then meet my party downstairs, having gathered my my items, and I'm assuming that Ishi is talking nonstop. Little Fox is not talking nonstop. And what are you doing, Malik?
So when you come downstairs, we follow you, right? This is like all kind of one shot. So we're shooting over your shoulder, seeing up onto the mountain where the temple is. You turn, the camera rotates around behind you and follows you down the stairs. Maybe you pick up like Malik. You walk by Malik's room as Malik comes out in the morning. How does Malik look in the morning? You didn't sleep very well because of all the noise. Do you show it, or are you looking a little haggard?
I think he.
You should make a charisma check to see how haggard you look.
I think it's okay for him to decide.
Yeah. No, I think he's fine. I think he's got everything ready because he expected to like start today. And I guess shout outs like now or maybe later, but there's already fan art of all the characters and it's so good. So hopefully you'll get to see the new token for my character at least. I made it into a token. And didn't send it to Adam. Never mind. I made it and didn't send it. We'll shout that out at the end. Actually, I just remembered. He looks fine. He's ready and raring to go. The most important part of being an archaeologist is going and finding things for him. So
nice. Okay. So the two of you meet up. You meet up in the hallway. I think you pass a couple of travelers who are just coming back from a night on the town. So they look exhausted and smell of sweat and alcohol, and I think the two of them kind of like wave cheerfully to you as they pass to go into their room, and you make your way down the stairs. Arcturus, your heavy boots clanking on the steps, and down into the main room. And Ishi and Little Fox, I think you're already awake. The two of you are down there, and I think we follow the two scholars as they come down into the main room, and we pass a couple of beleaguered looking sort of wait staff trying to lift a passed out half orc from a table. She's like passed out on the table, and they're like 1, 2, and they like lift him up, and then he like clatters back to the table, his tusks knocking a bowl over, spilling some gruel on the floor, and they look at you kind of apologetically like, sorry, and we follow the two of you over to the table where Ishi and Little Fox are sitting. And what are the two of you doing? Are you just like sitting eating breakfast, or?
I think Ishi's like leaned over, digging in her explorer's pack, which is like this big backpack that's almost as big as she is, like in terms of getting all the supplies in there and stuff, and like making sure that everything's like stuffed in there. She's basically got her face in the bag, like packing it, like leaned over at the moment.
Her little legs kicking out of the back of it. Okay.
Yeah, Little Fox has like some crumb of her breakfast that she's like luring a rat out of hiding with, and is like petting the rat and like feeds it a little crumb and like talks to it.
Oh,
like, whisper that no one else can hear.
Speaking of mice, there is a mouse in this bag. I have a pet mouse. Ishi has a little mouse friend.
Oh,
that I get for being an urchin. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you eat your meal together, because again, the cost of staying in the inn is this includes your food. So you eat your breakfast, and the place is busy pretty much all the time. Not as busy as it was last night. Lots more of that kind of groaning, squinting hangover crowd, and less of the raucous, let's listen to music and cause trouble crowd. And and then you gather up, and now where do you want to go? The market ward is quite nearby, so you can walk there. It's on your way to the temple.
Are both of you adequately prepared for a journey, or do we need to get something?
well, it's always better to check before we go too far and can't return and find we are missing an important item that we should probably just. I'll know if I see something.
Okay. Marketplace then.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And on we go, I would imagine. The scene moves on.
Yeah, so you walk out of the Thundering Lizard and find yourself quite quickly in the Red Bazaar, named after the color of the tents that are set up. And so there are these massive tents with people shouting their wares basically all around you right as you get out. And the Red Bazaar, as we mentioned before, they sell like goods for every day, like food, vegetables, tropical fruits, light clothing, and then maybe more interestingly, insect repellent and rain catchers. Those are things. You walk by a pungent booth where someone is hawking incense and salve that they claim will repel insects, and they see you, they recognize right away, like, oh, you're not from around here, you're adventurers, and they lean over and they shout like, salves and insect repellents, incense, and like shouting as you walk by and kind of like waving, like, brave travelers, keep the insects away, don't want to get bitten by a giant centipede.
Why ever not?
And he like you blinks and looks at you, says, well, and then looks at Malik like, did we, what, did I say something wrong?
I want to find out if this is like legit. How would you like me to try and discern that?
So you want to take a look at the stuff?
Yeah, see if it would actually work as an insect repellent.
Sure. I think probably survival, I think, would be the appropriate check here.
I'm proficient, but not very good. Anybody else want to help me?
So I think
Nope.
little fox, you see Malik walk up like, let's take a look.
Yeah, I'm quite good at this, so if
Mhm.
you want to help me,
Oh,
but it looks like me helping you, so maybe it's you leading the role. But yeah, like you'll be checking it out, and little fox just like walks over, and there's like the light darkens because you fall under her shadow as she walks up behind you.
no, I'd totally turn to you and say, you're from around here. You actually have an idea. What do you think? Any of this work?
And yeah, she just like sticks a huge finger into the like sample
Mhm.
whatever thing.
It's,
right?
it's not a lush. It's not like use a little
Smells it.
sample pot. Yeah, I mean it
You know,
smells.
but, like-
There's two things. There's you can get little like gourds that are full of salve that seem to be some kind of like pungent tree sap and some other mixture and and then little blocks of incense that you can light and burn to create a smoke. Make a survival check, and with advantage if Malik is helping you.
In the meantime, I'm like talking with the vendor, and I'm like, but why would you want insects? Are very valuable for different things. They can be used as bait in catching fish, and I've heard that most of them are themselves edible. Why would you want to drive them away?
So the insect repellent, yes, it seems to you like it would work.
I feel like we should get some. How expensive is it?
A single gourd of repellent is 1 gold piece, but you can apply it 20 times, and should last all day. And then a block of incense is a silver piece. You light it and it will burn for 8 hours and repel insects from an area. So one is for camp and one is for sort of walking around.
I mean, do they
I'll
answer
buy
my question?
myself two of the. I'll spend 2 gold on 40 uses of insect repellent.
Okay, sure. No, Arcturus, he does that thing where he pretends not to understand common, right? Like he says some stuff in Chultan. He can understand you. Maybe Arcturus doesn't know this, but he's just like,
Great.
you're using words I don't understand. Sorry.
Not sure what I would need insect repellent for. Scales, you see.
Yeah, and little fox just
I
kind of
also
like
have
shrugs.
scales, so
Yeah, everyone else in the group is a monster, so they're not so worried. But Malik definitely would want some.
Okay, yeah, Malik, you can note two uses of or two gourds. I will I'll quote it in here for you.
It's it's probably not the small ones, Ishi, that are going to be the problem.
You
This has-
make a good point. I will buy a single gourd.
Okay, all right.
Giant centipedes, as the name implies, are probably actually going to be giant and therefore dangerous.
Yes, but we're talking about a giant centipede. We're not talking about giant in relative to everything, right?
So
I love that, like,
What's the difference?
right?
yeah, as you walk away with your purchases, the two of you debate the entomology and etymology, I guess, of a giant centipede.
as a point of fact, you both were hired to protect us, and you're afraid of a large bug.
I am afraid of nothing. Ever. At all. Ever.
Ever.
Listen, it could be worse. You could have to deal with a huge giant crab. So
That would be terrible.
What if it were huge and
huge and
guys?
giant, my friends. Huge and giant. Beware.
Am I okay, since we're in the Red Bazaar, to just spend 5 gold and get 10 rations?
Yes, yeah. If you want to buy rations, this would be a place too. Yep.
Yep. Has
I have
anybody
some.
not got rations and cannot afford them?
I have 10 rations in my bag.
I don't have any money.
Do you have any
though,
rations?
or-
I have an explorer's pack, which I believe has
10 rations.
10 rations in it.
Okay.
You're good.
All right.
and I have good enough. I have survival, so I can like get us some food as we're on our way as well,
Okay.
if it comes to it.
What's everybody's? Actually, I guess I can check. Where do you want to go? Is there anywhere in particular that you're interested in checking out before you leave?
How much is a healing potion? They're really expensive, aren't they?
I mean, you'd have to know where to buy them first.
Wakanga has them. We know that. We know that.
Paying attention. Yeah,
So
you
if,
want to
if
go?
if Arcturus was like healing potion, they're like, I stole one of those. I mean, I know where to get them.
I can get one of those for you.
Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you could go talk to Wakanga. Totally.
Yeah, it just might be wise to have something other than my
Did you-
spells to heal.
Did you want to go to the
Or like a healing kit?
Yeah, we could get a kit. We can't afford any potions, but a kit would be useful.
Uh-huh.
I have a herbalism kit
Mhm.
already, for what that is worth.
Not the same, unfortunately, mechanically.
I mean, with a herbalism kit, if you have the proficiency, you could whip up some other stuff too, but it isn't, predominantly for healing.
Yeah, so, and I have the medicine skill. So if you set me up with a healer's kit, I can bail your dead asses out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be taking half damage from everything, but y'all are gonna die like
You say that until you get lit on fire.
Are you
Yeah.
proficient with a herbalism kit?
I'm proficient with the herbalism kit, and I have the medicine skill. So
Okay.
presumably, I can use healer kit as well.
The healer kit is the thing that is going to.
You can expend one
because we
use
don't
of the kit to
need-
stabilize a creature that has 0 hit points without needing to make a medicine check. So you don't need the medicine skill to use it. That's
So we
Oh, even
should
better.
get it in case you're not available to do it. Yeah, I think that's a decent use of our money if we can
Mhm.
get the gold together for it. Kits. Healing kit. Is that in adventurer's gear? I believe so. Healer's kit, 5 gold. Yes, I will front us 5 gold and we will get one of those. Who would like to hold on to it?
I mean, the
Don't
whole
give it
point
to
is
me,
me
please.
not holding on to it since
Mhm.
I have magic.
Okay, I will hold on to it. It is now my healing kit.
Okay. So the sort of more permanent stores, the places where you would buy like fancier things, that's going to be in the Grand Souk. The Grand Souk is one of the big markets. It's the biggest, kind of fanciest one, and this is where the some of the more unusual items would be found. So I think we transfer from the kind of farmer's market vibe of the Red Bazaar to a much bigger, much more like jostling. Suddenly there's people everywhere. It's described in the adventure as a noisy, jostling, aroma-rich circus. So you're being kind of jostled around by people. There's huge crowds. There are a lot of the same kind of hawkers down at the ground level, but there are proper stores with balconies. The whole place is full of exciting smells.
How many
and-
of these places am I banned from? Is the
I mean, none. Maybe you spot a guard that kind of gives you a look like, they're watching you, Ishi. But we pass by. I think we passed by a stall where there is like an ivory worker, like someone carving, and they're carving they're carving some kind of statue out of a huge bone, and you notice that next to them there is the skull of some kind of giant lizard, like big enough that you could almost stand in its mouth if it were open. Someone else is selling
Similar to the one at the Thunder Lizard.
Yeah.
Inn?
This one looks newer. That one has been reinforced with wood and what have you. There are minstrels. You see someone selling parrots. So he has domesticated parrots that they're selling. And in this area, there are the shops that belong to the merchant princes, where you can buy sort of proper fancy stuff. So you can find your way here. Now, I think on your way there, you walk by a shop that has a canoe over its door. And in the window, looking inside, I guess it's not really a window, it would be like a shutter that's rolled up. You look inside and you can see it's like a wood carving shop. You can smell the smell of freshly worked wood, and you can see canoes. You can see these tall wooden shields. There are finely crafted arrows in quivers in this place. Were you interested in buying a canoe potentially?
Now that I've spent the extra gold, no, and I forgot that the Triton cannot use water vehicles.
Okay, so it's going to be walking along the shore instead.
Unfortunately.
All right, you can always come back. Okay, all right. So you make your way to Wakanga's house and shop, Wakanga Otamu, and Wakanga's shop is very much an oddities shop. When you walk in, it has a sort of dusty hush to it. There's a big rack of scrolls off to one wall, like it's all made up on these ancient scrolls, ancient and new. There are glass bottles and vials, all kind of set up on another shelf with little tiny tags attached to them showing their prices. And in Wakanga's shop, you can, on a player level, you can buy any common or uncommon potion if you have the gold, or any first or second level spell scroll have you the gold.
Oh, well, hopefully let's go and make some money on this first adventure then.
Yeah, and so you walk in, and there's a faint jingling of shells that are attached to the door, and you hear some rustling behind, and then the door pulls open, and you see Wakanga, who smiles broad and bright when he sees you, and he says, hello again, friends.
Yeah, the new arrivals wanted to get supplies, and I thought, consumer loyalty and all.
He laughs and he says, well, thank you for bringing me some business, Ishi. Though you'll pardon me if... and he looks at you. I think perhaps some of my wares might be just outside the reach of your bank accounts.
For now, but it's always nice, I find, to have a goal. Gold isn't worth anything on its own, of course.
He gives you a look and he says, that's an interesting philosophy, sir. You should take that up with the priests of Joaquin. I think they might disagree.
We were just about to be on our way there, although disagreements aside. I was rather hoping that your goodwill towards your friend might supply us with a gift, perhaps.
He smiles and he says, I am not a religious man, but there are some precepts of Joaquin as a merchant I must follow, and the first among those is never give it away when you can charge for it. And he says, but I do have something that might be of interest to you. I was hoping I would see you again before you wandered off into the jungle to explore.
While our
Good
friend
guy.
Wakanga is distracted by this conversation, I would like to reach over to the nearest table and try and sleight of hand whatever it is.
Wow! Wow! You're the worst. All right, you're gonna try to steal from
not?
Wakanga.
Yes.
Can we please not? Because this is how D&D campaigns. There is a drain somewhere, and
I already tried to steal from him.
Well, thanks for coming, everybody. It's been a good 40
called
minutes.
sleight of hand.
Congratulations. Here ends the Tomb of Annihilation.
Okay, no, but
Turns
here's
out the
the
tomb
thing.
is where you
Here's
were
the thing.
forced to spend the
Here's
rest
the
of your
thing.
life.
Does one of you see me and stop me?
Okay,
Is that-
I don't
here's
see
what
you,
we'll
I'm
do.
also distracted.
You make your sleight of hand roll. Okay, we will compare your result to the passive perception of everyone in the group, and if no one notices, I'll just roll a random potion that you jack from the shelf.
Cool.
All right.
I'm gonna use my inspiration on this.
Okay. You hear a menacing voice from the door. I serve the All right. Does anyone? I'm looking at you, fish boy. Does anybody have a 17 or higher passive perception?
20. I used my inspiration.
That's right.
No,
God
I don't have a
damn.
passive
Okay.
perception of 20. Are you fucking shitting me?
All right. Let me see what we got here for a.
I'd never miss a fucking beat. 20 passive perception.
Okay. Let's see. Magic items.
My passive perception, how do you calculate your passive
It's
perception?
your bonus if you were rolling plus 10.
Okay.
All right.
Definitely not a 20.
Okay. You reach behind you. Sneak your little hand under the shelf and feel the cold glass of a potion and yank and put it in your bag.
Sweet.
No one notices. You can check out what it is when you get outside. I was about to say you're a monster, but that's a given.
I am. Yeah.
So Wakanga is fishing around under his desk, and he says, "We were speaking last night, and I was reminded that someone brought this to me before they left Chult." And there's a scraping sound, and then thunk. He places a water-swollen, heavily abused, tattered journal on the table. Thump.
I'm so
There's
into
like
this.
dust and the little bit of rattling as the potion's underneath, and he points at it and he says this came into my possession. Someone was attempting to liquidate their assets before heading home to the north. Perhaps it will be more of use to you than it was to me. It makes for dull reading. And he slides it towards you.
It does look rather liquidated. And
Wow, do you have inspiration yet?
yes, I have.
Okay, well, you can imagine a world where you just got it again for your terrible water pun.
Yeah. And then Arcturus does a thing where he reaches for it and then's like, may I? And then obviously is given the permission to do so and like flips through. And
there's a slightly rusted like clasp and you open it. It's written in a sort of a cipher or a shorthand. You recognize the characters. Do you want to make a roll to try to see if you can figure it out?
Sure.
Okay. Why don't you, let me see.
I mean, if I can't figure it out, can I just study it for a day?
Yes, I'm just saying like at a glance.
Right.
Let's have you make just make an Arcana check. I know you're not great at it. That's fine.
15.
Oh, okay, sure, no problem. Maybe you've seen this cipher before. This is like a common. It's like Candlekeep 4, and there's a specific like cipher they're using. They didn't even make up their own. It's lazy, really. And so it's a journal. The person in it describes their journey through Chult. They describe their ill-fated exploration. The thing that like flipping through it, Wakanga watches you, and then we see on his face as you read it, and as obviously you're perceiving and understanding it, he smiles like, impressive, right? Like he can see that you figured it out. And he says, I had to hire a sage. Took 2 weeks to discover the meaning of this. You seem to have caught on to it right away. And while he's saying caught on to it, that's when Ishii is just like, ugh.
And yeah, I am a little taken aback, and I say 2 weeks. Well, wish I would have been here a little bit earlier. I would have appreciated 2 weeks of work, and then like trail off.
Right. So he says, once I had the cipher, I read the entire thing, dry though it was. And he looks at it pointedly. It seems that its owner, whose name I never caught, is a spellcaster of some sort. And he flips to, he says, if I may, and he opens to a particular page. And there are a few kind of bad sketches throughout. But in it, there is a sketch of what looks like a magical construct. Like it's a human-shaped wooden and metal creature, and it's chopping wood, like in the jungle. There's some trees drawn in the background. It's chopping. There's like a camp scene, and then next to it there is a drawing of an amulet, so a metal amulet, kind of shield-shaped with a chain. And in the common script, it's titled Vorn, chopping wood. And so what Wakanga says,
how is that spelled?
Vorn, Vorn.
Okay, because I've played a Warforged fighter called Vorn.
Wow, there you go, same dude.
It's you.
Yeah,
spooky.
Alternate reality. So he taps it and he says, he says, unfortunately, the author is not very clear about where any of this takes place. I believe he spent most of his time in the jungle lost. He came back to me and gave me this alone. If this Vorn is his companion, I suspect he might still be out there somewhere.
You said that you read the whole thing.
He nods.
Was it valuable? Do you think it would be of value to someone going back into the jungle, or
he shakes his head and his hair kind of dances around his head and he laughs and he says, "Oh no, this heavy thing would just weigh you down. You're feel free to make notes, but as I said, you've probably got a better chance of keeping your head in the jungle than this fellow did."
While all this is going on, I'm just walking around the store looking at price tags and going like, Oh yes, far too expensive.
Yeah, like it's 300 oh my.
Exactly.
So he says to you, he says, I wanted to show you this because, well, you look like the curious types, and I've got an itch to know more. If you could find this Vorn or the amulet, and he points at it, it would please me greatly, and I would be happy to reward you for it. And he looks at Malik and he says, you might be interested in the companion volume. And he pulls out another book, and this one is much better taken care of. It has a like a crocodile skin or like some kind of reptile skin like cover, and an arcane sigil burned into the cover. And he sets it down, and he says, "This book, I was never able to discover its meaning, but I think that's because it's not prose." And he opens it, and looking at it, it's clear that it's a spell book. And he says, whether or not you could make use of it, I couldn't say, but, and he closes it. He says, I'm sure it's valuable, just not to me.
All right. Well, in our travels, if we come across anything, I would be happy to trade the information for, well, the information you have. The book.
Yeah, he nods, and he says, if you can find me the next chapter in the story of this unfortunate fellow, I would be happy to part with both volumes.
Can I like take my journal and like basically copy the sketch of Vorn and the
definitely.
yeah.
I was hoping to ask actually, though while the faith of the many merchants of the town is great, as evidenced by that temple, I was wondering if there was a museum around. They tend to share at times interests in certain artifacts, and since that's what I'm in the business of doing, I was wondering if I could try and make some sort of relationship with them.
He, I don't think that there is, but I'm going to double check before he answers.
Fair enough.
But I think he has an opinion on this either way.
Yeah, I have an idea. Oh, that's
Yeah. So he says, I don't see anything about a museum specifically. He says to you, I think the closest thing, if you're looking for artifacts, would be the Temple of Savras, or perhaps Gond, depending on what you're looking for. But I have to say, friend Malik, the situation in Chult is a bit different than it is up north. The artifacts that fill your museums often come from the hands of people like us. The travelers from took much from Chult for their collections. And he, for a moment, like he has this jovial, for a moment it kind of like drops, and he gives you kind of a serious look.
Of course, and it's part of my job when I'm not off in the jungles themselves to bring back parts of that history, parts of those important things that may have been lost to invaders, colonizers, whatever the histories say about them, to their rightful owners. There are some things that are, and you'll excuse me this blasphemy, more important in the right hands than their weight in gold.
So right like that, his jovial nature like returns to his face, and he says, well, as I said, I am a merchant and no religious man, though everyone is a worshipper of Cyric with a lie on their lips. If you find anything in the jungle that you think would be of significant cultural import, bring it to me. I will help you find an appropriate place for it. But if you wish, the Temple of Savras is the place to go if you are seeking lore.
Background of this whole scene is me trying to get Little Fox to get something off a really high shelf for me to look at, like tugging on her arm.
So what kind of pet does Wakanda have?
Wakanga.
Wakanga? What kind of pet does he have around the shop?
Um,
Like I'm imagining like lots of birds and stuff outside. Does he have like a cat or something?
I don't think so. I think that he's maybe too fastidious to have like a pet.
All right, well then I am available to help you get a thing off the shelf.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe there's
you're,
like
maybe you're finding this all quite dull because there is nothing alive in here except for you and your
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah, no, it's like really stuffy and dusty or whatever. Not dusty, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
there's like an under his breath mumble about like complains about people from taking their shit and then wishes for us to go into the jungle and take someone else's things. That's yeah, okay. Like very much just like maybe even in what's the language, primordial or something, like, but just like
So everybody hears Arcturus making a sound like a water pool full of rocks. Yeah because no one else speaks primordial but you, right?
I would assume not.
Are you okay?
Yeah, yes, of course. Is that all you wish for us to see if we can find any knowledge of Vorn and this amulet?
He nods. Well, that and discover the source of this terrible curse, of course.
Of course.
But while you're in the jungle, if you could keep an eye out for a mysterious man of wood and metal.
You seem well connected. Before we leave, as is in my nature when undertaking things of this sort, as we spoke of earlier, is there anybody else that you know who might have secondary objectives for us to look out for?
He says, oh, friend Malik, Port Nyanzaru is large and full of people who want things. And a group such as yourselves, you stand out. Merely walk the streets, and I'm sure the kind of trouble you're looking for will come to you.
Trouble, I hope not.
And he grins and he puts his hands out and he says, as a scholar of language, you must know, in some tongues, trouble and opportunity are the same word.
I mean, I only know of one or two, and I don't think that I'm generalizing, of course, but never mind.
All right. So, so what do you want to do now? You have this book. Oh, you go outside, I guess, unless anybody else wants to do something in Wakanda. Okay. All right. So you go outside and
What'd you get, Ishi?
So we get a little further away from Wakanga's store because Wakanga, I don't want Wakanga to see me stealing stuff after I got put in jail for stealing stuff. And then I pull this bottle out of my bag and offer it up to Malik, I guess, or Arcturus. I'm like,
did you just?
It's not a totally wasted trip.
The dye pack goes off and you're all covered in pink dye.
And I just swipe it out of the air from you with like an invisible hand. I just like click my fingers and I just take it.
Good luck with that.
Okay. I mean, why don't you make a roll? Ishi, make a dex save.
Sure.
Against whatever your spell DC is, Malik.
14.
Okay, no problem. So you're just like, give me that, and you lunge out with magic, and Ishi like scampers out of the way.
I love the idea that the potion just like disappears, right? Like you just stash it somewhere, it's gone. You're like, where'd it go? It's gone. What potion?
And then I think Arcturus is confused for a little bit. Like he probably assumed that you had gone to a different vendor in the shop while we were talking to Wakanga and bought it. But Malik's obvious, like...
Just give me a second to explain.
Did you, is it what is it? Is it health potion?
I don't know. I was going to take a look at it or have one of you.
You bought something and you don't know what it is.
Yeah, yes, bought something.
No, he didn't buy it. Of course he didn't.
Look, he has so many things. He's never going to miss one bottle.
Well, what is it?
I don't know.
Potion reappears.
Mhm.
I'm like looking at it like,
Yeah, I mean, he would label them. So yeah, it's labeled like a potion of health or like a potion of invigoration or something in the local tongue. But yeah, it's a healing potion.
And
Perfect. Just what we
Arcturus,
wanted.
Arcturus like sucks air through his teeth, like the. You should give that back.
Do Tritons have, this is just like a total random question. Do Tritons have like mammal, like monkey teeth, or do you have like shark teeth?
Shark teeth.
Okay.
I decided.
How many
just
rows? How many rows?
Two
2 rows.
Yeah.
Excellent.
so you say that I have to give it back, and I go,
I say you should.
But the fact that I have it here now means that if I give it back, they'll know I took it. Whereas if I keep it,
And Little
No
Fox is
one
just
will ever
behind
know.
everyone with her huge
Like, let's
hands, just
go.
like pushing you all along,
let's go.
like gently but firmly, just like,
Mhm.
okay.
Ishi, I'm not quite sure how this works on the surface, but there is an ebb and a flow to things, and you taking from our friend Wakanga, things will be taken from you in due course. You should give it back.
I have known Wakanga way longer than either of you, and he won't mind. It's fine.
Being lawful good means looking the other way when your party does things that might be morally objective to you. So,
I mean-
Is anyone lawful good, by the way?
I'm
Just-
lawful good.
Oh, okay.
chaotic good.
Whoops.
I'm a cleric.
it's okay. It's fine.
No, I think that's great.
Being good is about being altruistic.
Being
Not
lawful
counting
is
good.
about
Look,
following.
I'm looking after my tribe, i.e., all of you numbskulls, by having a healing potion.
Mhm.
Mm-mm.
So Arcturus, maybe things aren't so clear cut here on the surface, right?
Uh,
That's okay.
I mean,
The
we
tides-
wouldn't have to pay for a healing potion if we needed one underneath the ocean anyway.
Yeah, we're in the jungle,
Because
baby.
it's Star Trek under the ocean.
under-
We've already
yeah.
decided.
under the sea. The class struggle is over. Okay.
So, I think if we want to do anything else, we're gonna need money to do that, right? So we're not gonna get any money if we just stay in town, unless you want to start begging. It works pretty well,
I still would like to go to the priests of Joaquin.
right?
The priestesses, the whatever.
The clergy.
I don't understand how your stupid surface world or gender works.
Whatever. Let's go to the temple of Joaquin. Temples don't have gender.
That's true. I mean, maybe
The
for a second
building.
you'd be like, is gendered noun temple in common? I don't.
I don't know. Common.
All right. So you wanna head up the hill to the temple
Yes.
up here?
How far away is the other temple that I was pointed towards?
The temple of Savras. It
Yeah.
is. Let
is that
me
like a
see.
religious district, or is it just spread out?
No, the Temple of Savras. Okay, so the Temple of Savras is like 7, I think. Y'all are here. Let me just see.
I missed the ping for
Oh, it's
y'all
okay.
here.
I'm finding you. It's across town, basically.
Okay. That's fine.
And the
Okay, so the temple of Savras is right. You're here. This is the grand the souk right here.
Okay.
Temple of Savras is over here.
Okay.
And then the Temple of Joaquin is down there.
If you are interested in going to the Temple of Savras, we could split up. Or just take more time in the town.
Yeah, I mean, you have the day to explore. Everybody can take an opportunity to do the things.
Are we
they
going to
want
start
do.
into the jungle at night? I think it's questionable to me.
No. Well, we don't need to set off in the night. We can just take another, as long as you can all afford.
So
I guess we can pay for another night, yeah.
so where does everybody need to go? Temple of Joaquin and Temple of Savras. Those
Yeah,
are places-
I'd just like to take a walk around, see what we can find out. See if there are people who need our services within the town. You know, that sort of thing.
I would like
So
to
we need to be
give
looking up for things.
give
if
to the
they
goddess
aren't.
Joaquin to pay for. Well, I mean, not entirely pay for your overreaching hands.
And so little fox just like reaches down and shuffles Ishi over to Malik, so the two of you can go off, and then I like steer
Yeah, I love it.
Arcturus by his shoulders through the crowd. I just like grab you and just, like,
I was
carry
just
you.
about to say I should just about to say we should split up. Okay, you're already going. See you soon.
Yeah, little fox just like wordlessly
Go with
separates the group and starts moving Arcturus in the right direction.
So let's stay
While
with,
we're walking, I'm like talking with you about like how Ishi shouldn't have done that or something or other, like just at you.
And you can just get this like sequence of like shrugs and like like the 50-50 hand and the
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So there are two kind of like mounts, two little like hills. The highest point in the city is the temple, right? Is the Temple of Joaquin, the Hall of Gold. It's connected by a massive stone bridge to a coliseum. So I think that as you approach from the north, you can hear the shouting of the crowd and the blaring of horns as some significant event is going on in the coliseum. There's cheering and shouting. And you ascend onto this bridge. And from up here, you can see down into the market. You can see the vast jungle off to one side. And then on the other side, the harbor and then the sea to the north. From here, you can walk south to the massive shimmering golden temple of Joaquin. So around Joaquin's temple, in this sort of sacred, the sacred district, are banks, money lenders, halls of record, exciting things like that. So there's a lot of just kind of business, not actual businesses, but the things that are businesses to businesses. And outside there is basically a bunch of steps that lead up to this big sort of dome-shaped building. And again, the architecture here is old, but not as old as the sort of foundations of the port. It's of Omnian construction for the most part. And you can see there's some scaffolding on one side. There is a couple of craftsmen who are applying a layer of thin gold paint to like cover up an area that was damaged. So they're tightening it up. And there's two big doors that lead into the relative darkness of the temple within.
Let's observe proper local etiquette and customs and go and drop some money in a pan for the goddess Joaquin. At least that's what I'm gonna do, or whatever it is that I see people doing.
Yeah, and so like Little Fox pulls open the huge door for you and like ushers you in, but then she waits outside.
Okay.
She like finds a parrot to talk to or something. She's not interested in going into a temple.
So you walk inside, and in the temple, there are lots of well-dressed individuals, lots of Chultans talking, kind of whispering quietly to themselves. In the center, bathed in sunlight, is a massive statue of a beautiful Omnian woman. She's dressed in obviously like northern attire, right, from When I say northern, like if you live in Waterdeep, it's the far south, but northern from here. In Omnian attire, she looks halfway between a merchant and a noble. So she's got fine clothes, and she's holding a scale in one hand and a ledger in the other, and the scale has piles of coin in it, and she's looking. And then next to her, down below, there's a group of what look like they're the only people who are out of place, but they look like engineers or something. One of them has a book that he's like writing in. The other might be an artist. He's drawing a sketch. And as you walk by, it looks like he's sketching a statue. But it's also of a woman, but she's dressed like a Chultan merchant. So she's got like the one shoulder cross outfit, holding a scale. Like she's similar, but it's not the same person. And so this person is like planning a statue, and the engineers are taking measurements. All around her feet are there's a sort of like altars set out with little like slots in them for you to deposit coin and to pray.
Cool. I Is there anyone here that is like a priest or priestess of the religion, or is it just these artists?
Yeah,
and
it's just hard.
engineers?
It's hard to tell who's a priest and who's a merchant because the sacred clothing of the Wakina you look like a merchant because most of them are.
Yeah, okay. I guess I would just go up to someone that I suspect may or may not be and ask for directions toward a priest or priestess. And
Yeah, you
if
you,
they
you
were
find
one,
yourself in the company of a priest of Joaquin.
yeah, and I would just probably question them about their religion and the proper protocols for a blessing on a journey or something like that.
Okay. So the priest is a little like I think you have the wrong temple because generally Joaquin is it a commercial venture? Are you starting a company?
I mean, we are being paid
We can
to.
bless a charter.
Well, I mean, not quite. I just, I was quite curious about your religion's practices, and this temple is quite something. I saw it from entering the city. I just thought I might inquire. If that's not something that the goddess Joaquin does, then so be it.
He said he puts his hands up and he says, "Well, we are happy to take any donation that you would like to make."
Where do the donations towards the goddess generally go?
He gestures to the temple and the community, of course, to local business.
And she thinks back to how she stole the the potion and takes probably a gold coin out of her pocket, and then does the I guess I'll pay in his head. Sorry, I might be misgendering my character. In his head, he says, "I guess I'll just pay in increments then, and
Sure.
eventually this will get to Wakanga in some fashion."
One might say that it would trickle down. That's a metaphor that your character would understand. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So basically, Arcturus is of a mind that if the donations to the temple find their way to the merchants of the city, that this is a way that he can help pay for that potion without making Ishi go to jail.
So you put a coin in the box, and the priest says a short prayer for you, for good business, for gold to flow to you like rain from the clouds, and then of course, because you can't be allowed to make a donation without a receipt, he writes on a piece of paper and tears off a bit and hands it to you, and it says donation to the Temple of Joaquin, 1 gold piece, and then a little spot, and then he hands you a quill for you write your name, and he writes it in his ledger, his sacred ledger, and and bows to you and says, "The golden lady's eyes upon you in your endeavor. Good business."
Good business. And then I take the thing and I fold it into my journal and go out.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So let's take a break here, and we'll see what the other temple is like when we return. We'll visit Savras. Don't go anywhere. We got lots more Tomb of Annihilation when we get back.